If you've been following Workhorse, then I'm sure you saw all the videos popping up last week about a possible USPS contract leak in the Romeo Investor presentation. You may have even watched the video that I put out, and if you have, then you probably remember that I was very skeptical and called out some of the things that didn't quite add up to me. After doing some more research, I managed to connect a few more dots and put some more puzzle pieces together. So in this video, I'll be providing these updates as well as sharing my thoughts. And we're going to be starting right now. Hey, what's going on? It's Pat from Top Ticker Trades. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to grow your wealth through investing and trading stocks in the market, make sure you start right now by subscribing and tapping that bell so you never miss a thing. I'll see you in the video. Let's go. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today, you already know we're going to be talking about Workhorse. Why are we talking about Workhorse? Because that's my favorite stock to talk about. I hope none of you are getting scared. I hope no one is selling off their Workhorse position. Hang on to your horses, because here we go. Here's what's going on. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background information so everybody's on the same page and knows what to expect. But long story short, I did a video a couple of days ago on a company that is actually a SPAC known as Romeo Power Technology. As I'm sure everyone watching already knows, the presentation includes several indicators that give off a strong implication that Workhorse is one of the big winners of this USPS NGDV contract. I would even go as far as to say that based on one of the items that we saw in this presentation, Workhorse would be likely to get the entire or almost the entire contract rather than just some portion of this contract. And specifically, the key points in this presentation that indirectly communicate this to me would be: number one, on page 13, the slide shows a list of companies that make up Romeo's customers and the customer base. And Workhorse, as we can see, is on the list that makes up the customer base. Number two, on page 20, it states that the USPS is looking to replace nearly their entire fleet of electric vehicles, which is 200,000 electric delivery trucks. With Workhorse being the only all-electric vehicle manufacturer left here, that would mean that if the USPS was wanting to replace all of their, or most of their fleet of 200,000 vehicles with all electric vehicles, it would only make sense that Workhorse would get majority of the contract. Number three, it seems that on page 30 of this presentation, we see the Workhorse USPS NGDV contract prototype pictured, and the page itself is talking about how Romeo can create a variety of unique packs, which to me is hinting that one of the vehicles it produces batteries for, or has the capability of producing batteries for, is the Workhorse NGDV prototype. And last but not least, also on page 30, appears the Oshkosh logo right above the Workhorse logo. I'm sure I don't need to tell anyone that Oshkosh is also one of the competitors for the NGDV contract. Now, with only 3 competitors left in play, and 2 of them being on this slide, and USPS also being in this presentation, it would appear to me that this presentation provides clues which leave anyone that has reviewed it in its entirety to assume that Oshkosh was awarded or will be awarded a small portion of this contract, while Workhorse will be awarded a major or significant portion of this USPS NGDV contract. But if we are going to determine this based solely on the presentation, then it would only make sense to those investors and traders that didn't do their research. So let me just clarify one thing before I even get into all this. I am 100% bullish on Workhorse, and I 110% believe that the USPS is going to award Workhorse with a majority portion of this contract. But I'm going to go with my original thesis on Romeo in this entire presentation by saying that what we see in this presentation as it relates to the USPS and Workhorse is simply the creators of the presentation taking advantage of the hype generated from the expectations of the USPS and Workhorse NGDV contract deal. And here's why. So, Romeo claimed that Workhorse, along with about a dozen other companies, were its customers. Now, this is very interesting to me because while I was able to pretty much verify that some of these companies were customers of Romeo, I wasn't able to verify or find any sign of a connection between Workhorse and Romeo. So I looked a little further, put in a little extra work, and I was able to connect Borg Warner to Workhorse. So the only connection that I found is that Borg Warner was providing powertrains to Workhorse for its W15 truck. Now, if some of you don't know what the W15 is, that's because the W15 is now known as the Endurance, and it belongs to Lordstown Motors now, who appears to be using hub motors manufactured by a company named Elafi. As you have probably already figured out, this means that it's been a while since Workhorse has done any type of business with Borg Warner, as far as I can find. And when I say a while, I mean like 3 years ago. So again, as I am unable to find any direct connection between Romeo and Workhorse other than a 3-year-old transaction done through Borg Warner, who actually owns 60% of Romeo, I would have to say that Romeo is pretty much just using shady tactics to try and profit from the hype generated through the expected Workhorse USPS contract expectations. That being said, there's 3 things I need to tell you guys right now that I believe will further drive my point home. So number 1, the Endurance has nothing to do with the last mile delivery vehicles, and because of that, I would reasonably expect to find some type of connection to the Workhorse C-Series delivery truck. Number 2, Workhorse has been using Panasonic as a key battery supplier for many years, and in late 2019 placed an initial order for 5,200 batteries from Enerdell after announcing that Enerdell would in fact be an additional key supplier for its next generation C-Series delivery vehicles. Alright, so that's big for me. Number 3, let's not forget about the important factor here. There's a non-disclosure agreement in place between the USPS and the remaining USPS contract contenders. And I would fully expect that a key supplier be placed under the same NDA. And don't think that it would be reasonable to assume that leaking such information just for a investor presentation would be a sufficient reason for violating the terms of the NDA. Even if Romeo was not a party to that non-disclosure agreement, I would imagine that the leadership of a company that's trying to establish themselves as a, key player or a leader in that industry would have enough common sense not to do anything that would jeopardize their reputation and ultimately result in a loss of customers. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of the video. If you found this video helpful, I ask that you help this channel out by smashing that like button, as it motivates me to keep making videos just like this one every single day. If you're not a subscriber, you should consider subscribing, as I publish valuable content like this daily. You can do so from your screen right now, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can click on the video that you'd like to see on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.